A wealthy visitor discovers a humble janitor doing something no one expected. What happens next changes an entire town. A cold, silver-blue morning in Alderbrook. Snow drifts quietly across the school courtyard, melting the moment it meets the pavement. Let us glide toward the main entrance of Westwood Community High School, its brick facade weathered from decades of storms, laughter, and secrets. Inside, the school hallways are empty, silent except for the soft swish of a broom. We find Elias Turner, the evening custodian, kneeling beside a cracked section of tile near the trophy case. His posture is humble, his movements slow but precise. Under the dim emergency lights, his salt and pepper hair forms a faint halo around his tired face. But the moment that hooks the viewer isn't the sweeping. It's what the privileged person sees next. Councilwoman Mariah Donnelly, dressed in an expensive coat, heels clicking sharply, enters the hallway on her way to inspect the school's maintenance budget before proposing additional cuts. She's in a rush, annoyed by the cold, focused on numbers, not people. But she freezes when she spots Elias. He isn't sweeping. He isn't mopping. He isn't doing any task one might expect. Instead, Elias is sitting on the floor beside a vending machine, holding a crying student, Jonas, a shy sophomore, as gently as a parent holds a distraught child. Jonas sits hunched, hands trembling, tears dripping onto his worn jacket. Elias's hand rests on the boy's shoulder, steady and warm. He whispers, "You're not alone, son. Take your time. You're safe here." Mariah stands hidden behind the corner, stunned. She watches this older man, someone she had assumed was simply the janitor, offering a depth of comfort she hadn't witnessed in years. Jonas wipes his eyes, trying to speak. Elias doesn't push. He simply listens, really listens. And when Jonas is finally ready to go home, Elias walks him to the door, braving the morning chill just to make sure he's all right. Mariah's expression shifts. Confusion, intrigue, something stirring. She whispers to herself, "Who is this man?" Now we rewind. We step into Elias's world before this moment, before Mariah sees him, before Jonas breaks down, before the entire town learns who Elias truly is. The morning begins as it always does. Let's follow Elias as he finishes his night shift, exiting the school just before sunrise. He walks slowly through the quiet streets of Alderbrook, past shuttered shops, dim street lamps, and the faint glow of the river beyond. The cold air stings his cheeks. His breath forms soft clouds. He moves like a man who has lived the same slow rhythm for decades, steady, dependable, invisible to most. We enter Elias's small apartment above the laundromat. The room is cramped but meticulously kept. A faded photograph of his wife, Lillian, rests on the nightstand. Another photo, cracked in its frame, shows their daughter Clara at age 8, missing a front tooth, smiling wide. Elias sits on the edge of the bed, staring at these photos. His silence tells a story, one of grief, of love, of a man who has lost more than he lets anyone know. We follow him through his morning routine, warming leftover soup on a tiny stove, fixing a loose screw on a neighbor's railing, dropping an anonymous grocery voucher under the door of a struggling couple downstairs, shoveling snow from several steps along the street, all before 8 a.m. He gives quietly, always quietly. When the school day begins, we see Elias re-enter Westwood Community High through the side door. Students brush past him, barely noticing. Teachers offer polite nods before rushing to their classes. This is his world, unseen, unsung, yet deeply rooted in service. He replaces broken chairs before anyone knows. He cleans messes without complaint. He listens to students who feel lost. He fixes lights, leaky faucets, loose lockers, anything that helps the school run smoothly. The viewer isn't just told Elias is kind. They feel it through vivid moments and tiny details. Then comes the inciting incident. In the teacher's lounge, an announcement cuts through the chatter. Due to recent budget constraints, Maintenance staff will undergo structural review. Layoff considerations will begin next week. Elias hears it from the hallway, broom in hand. For the first time, we see his rhythm falter. His face drains of its quiet certainty. His grip tightens on the broom handle. The world becomes blurry and distant as fear claws into his chest. This job, this place, is the last anchor he has. Without it, he has nothing. No purpose, no connection, no stability. And just when that fear settles in his bones, he receives a voicemail. Clara's voice, strained, unfamiliar, carrying wounds he doesn't fully understand, says, "Dad, I need to come home, just for a little while." He listens twice. 3 times. His hands tremble. Life is about to collide with him from 2 directions, his job and his daughter, each threatening to break what little he has left. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I spent countless hours researching and crafting this story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart, and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It means the world to me and helps these important stories reach others who need to hear them. Now, let's see what happens next. Have you ever witnessed an act of kindness that completely changed your perspective? Share your story in the comments below. Elias Turner standing outside the school, snow crunching beneath his boots. The early morning sun casts a pale amber glow over Alderbrook, softening its harsh winter edges. But inside Elias, everything feels heavier than snow. Budget cuts, job insecurity, Clara's unexpected message, and the silent fear that he might not be enough for either crisis. He lets out a long breath, fogging the cold air, and enters the school for another evening shift, unaware that his smallest choices today will ripple farther than ever before. Inside the school, we meet Miss Harper, a young English teacher buried in stacks of ungraded essays. Her classroom is dim, lit only by a desk lamp and the flicker of the hallway sensor lights. Elias knocks gently. She startles, embarrassed. Papers are scattered everywhere. He notices the dark circles under her eyes, exhaustion etched into her posture. "Long day," Elias offers softly. She gives a weak laugh. "Long month." Elias spots the cold cup of coffee on her desk. He quietly replaces it with a fresh one he brewed earlier in the custodial lounge. "You don't have to," she begins. "Just figured you needed something warm," he says, already turning away. But that tiny act of kindness shifts something in her expression, a softening in the corners of her eyes, as though someone finally saw her struggle. She watches him leave, unaware that this small kindness will later inspire a major turning point of her own. Later that night, Jonas, the same student Elias comforted earlier, hesitantly approaches him again in the hallway. He carries a crumpled note from his mother, asking if the school has any after-hours support programs. Jonas's voice is small, barely audible. "My mom, she works late. She said maybe I shouldn't be alone so much." Elias kneels to eye level. "You're welcome here until she gets home," he says. "No one should feel alone at your age. Not if I can help it." The boy nods, holding back tears. Another fragile heart held together by an old janitor. Elias walks him to the library, asking Miss Harper if he can stay for a bit. She smiles, a real, grateful smile, and agrees to keep Jonas company. Already, 2 ripples collide. Councilwoman Mariah Donnelly returns to the school with a clipboard in hand, ready to finalize the maintenance cuts. But the moment she steps inside, she witnesses something unexpected. Elias quietly repairing a heater in the music wing, sparing the school hundreds of dollars in service requests. She watches from afar. He finishes the repair, then walks to the cafeteria and leaves food vouchers for students who have overdue lunch balances. Then she watches him mend a student's broken backpack strap using nothing more than fishing line and patience. Mariah mutters under her breath. This man is doing the work of 5 people. Her certainty about budget cuts begins to crack. She confronts Elias gently. Why do you do all this? It's not in your job description. Elias gives a humble shrug. Someone's gotta care. Mariah leaves conflicted, and perhaps, for the first time in years, inspired. Back in the custodial office, Elias's supervisor informs him. Layoff list is coming by Friday. I think your department will be hit hardest. Elias tries to stay composed, but his face tightens. Jonas tells 2 classmates about Elias letting him stay after hours. One of them, a quiet girl named Ruby, begins helping Elias with simple tasks, wanting to repay the kindness. A local bakery drops off boxes of leftover bread at the school, saying, the janitor said the kids might need it. An elderly man named Mr. Holt, a retired mechanic, sees Elias sweeping snow outside at dawn and joins him without asking. Figured you could use another pair of hands, Mr. Holt says. Elias chuckles. Can't say no to good company. This moment shows the ripple reaching unexpected places. Elias goes home and cleans his entire apartment, dusting every shelf, wiping every window. He places Clara's childhood photo at the center of the table. We see the mixture of love and fear in his eyes. He wonders, will she stay? Is she in trouble? Will she blame him for the past? Can he still be the father she needs? He opens a drawer and pulls out dozens of unsent letters addressed to Clara. Apologies, updates, birthdays, questions, all unsent, all folded with quiet desperation. His whisper cracks. I hope I still have a chance, baby girl. This moment cements his emotional foundation, a man longing for redemption. A gentle snowfall outside Westwood Community High. Elias steps out of the building, his breath trembling in the cold. He scans the street, searching. A bus pulls away, kicking up slush. And there she is, Clara Turner, now in her late 20s, tired, tense, and carrying the kind of weight a young woman shouldn't have to bear. Her hair is messy, her coat thin against the winter air. Her eyes, once bright, now hold shadows he hasn't seen since the day she left home at 17. They stand, staring, 10 years of silence hanging between them. Elias speaks first. Hi, Clara. Her voice cracks on the reply. Hey, Dad. The moment is stiff, painful, delicate. They walk slowly toward his apartment. Clara speaks little, giving vague answers. Elias doesn't push. He senses she's holding something back. But the audience knows. Something is wrong. Deeply wrong. Clara steps inside Elias's apartment and nearly breaks down. It's small, sparse, but spotless. Her childhood photo sits on the table like a shrine. She runs her fingers over its cracked frame. You kept this? She whispers. Of course, Elias says softly. I kept every memory of you. Elias tries to make tea. His hand shakes slightly. Clara notices, the first crack of concern she has shown him in years. Then she sees the stack of unsent letters protruding from a drawer. She hesitates, pulls one out. It reads, Clara, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be better. I hope you'll forgive me someday. She freezes. He closes the drawer quickly, embarrassed. I didn't know where to send them, he says quietly. And I didn't want to make your life harder. This moment lodges deep in her chest, but she stays silent. The emotional tension rises layer by layer. Late that night, Clara reveals the truth. She sits on the edge of the sofa, staring at her hands. Dad, I lost my job. And my place. And she swallows hard. I didn't know where else to go. Elias sits beside her. You came home, he says, voice steady. That's all that matters. She exhales shakily, the first sign of relief. But then she adds, there's more. She pulls out a letter. A court summons. Elias's expression darkens with concern. Clara, what happened? She breaks down. A raw, unfiltered sob. I made some mistakes, Dad. I trusted the wrong people. And now I'm in trouble. Elias pulls her close, holding her just like he held Jonas earlier. Only this time, it's his own child, and the pain runs deeper. This emotional beat becomes the backbone of the next hour of the story. The next morning, Clara wakes to the sound of Elias making breakfast, humming softly. A small kindness, but meaningful. He hasn't cooked for anyone since Lillian's passing. Meanwhile, at the school, Ms. Harper takes a step forward. Inspired by Elias, she starts a small after-school reading program for stressed students, Jonas included. Her confidence begins to grow. Jonas brings a friend. Ruby, the quiet girl helping Elias, joins the reading program. She tells Ms. Harper, "Elias said I should try something new. Said I might surprise myself." Ms. Harper smiles warmly at the mention of him. Mr. Holt gathers others. The old mechanic who helped Elias with snow shoveling begins telling neighbors about the janitor who does more good than the whole council. People listen, and something shifts. The community begins waking up, stirred by one man's quiet kindness. Mariah Donnelly returns to the school with a conflicted heart. She interviews teachers, custodians, students. Each one, even those who barely speak to Elias, says the same thing. He helps everyone. He fixes problems before they start. He listens. He makes this place feel safe. One student, Ruby, says, "He's the only adult who talks to me like I matter." Mariah's eyes soften. She begins to question the system she's been serving blindly. Her polished political armor cracks, revealing genuine empathy she thought she'd buried long ago. She looks at her budget report, hesitating. This doesn't feel right anymore. Back at the apartment, Clara begins cleaning a little, fixing small things, trying to contribute. She even follows Elias to the school one evening, staying in the corner while he works. She watches him, help a struggling freshman with his backpack, fix a flickering hallway light, greet teachers with quiet respect, listen to Jonas talk about his day, sweep the hallways with almost meditative calm. For the first time, she sees him not as the father of her painful childhood memories, but as a man doing everything he can to be better. She whispers to herself, "I didn't know he was like this." Her heart begins to shift. The section ends with a dramatic setup. Mariah calls an emergency meeting regarding the maintenance cuts. Teachers rally behind Elias. Students quietly support him. Even the bakery owner shows up with witnesses of his kindness. But Elias doesn't know. He sits in the custodial closet, overwhelmed by fear of losing his job, just as Clara begins to depend on him again. As he holds one of Clara's letters in his hand, he whispers, "Let me keep this job, just long enough to make things right." Elias lies awake on his narrow cot. Clara sleeps fitfully on the sofa, her face softened only in unconsciousness. A faint streetlight illuminates her silhouette. Elias whispers into the dimness, "Lillian, I hope I'm doing this right." He closes his eyes, gently holding the locket he has worn for 15 years. A tiny photo of his late wife rests inside, worn at the edges. His world is fragile. The job, Clara's healing, the town struggles, all threads barely holding together. Tomorrow's budget meeting will decide everything, while Elias prepares himself for the worst. Across Alderbrook, something extraordinary happens. Miss Harper stays late. She writes a heartfelt letter about Elias. He is the glue that holds the soul of this school together. She prints copies for the meeting. Jonas and Ruby make signs. Not protest signs, but signs that read, "Thank you for caring. Every kindness counts." They tape them around the school. Mrs. Donnelly's niece takes action. Councilwoman Mariah makes dozens of phone calls. She discovers the town can temporarily redirect and use community funds, enough to save the custodial positions. Her voice shakes with conviction as she prepares her argument. For the first time in years, she feels like she's doing something that matters. Small business owners talk. The bakery owner, the barber, the corner store manager. Each has a story of how Elias has helped them quietly over the years. The barber says, "He swept my sidewalk for a whole winter because I was recovering from surgery. Never asked for anything." They all agree to show up. A ripple has officially become a wave. At the school the next day, Elias arrives early. He tries to mop the halls, but his hands shake too much. He steps into the supply closet, his sanctuary, and the weight becomes unbearable. For the first time in years, he cries. Not quiet tears, but a deep, aching, soul-tired release. He whispers through sobs, "I can't lose everything again. I can't." Unbeknownst to him, Ruby hears him through the door. She doesn't enter. She doesn't interrupt. She simply leaves a note. "You matter more than you know." When Elias finally opens the door, he finds it taped at eye level. He folds it gently, placing it in his shirt pocket. This is the moment the audience feels the full emotional weight of his journey. The auditorium fills. Parents, teachers, students, elders, business owners. Clara slips in quietly and takes a seat in the back, nervous, unsure if she belongs there. Elias sits alone near the front, hunched and shrinking into his chair. Then Mariah stands at the podium. Mariah's speech. She speaks clearly. This isn't just a budget decision. It's a decision about who we are as a community and who we want to be. She lists the maintenance cuts. She shows photos of broken infrastructure. She presents revised funding options. Then she pauses. And finally, "I want to talk about one man." Elias looks up slowly. Mr. Elias Turner. She reads Ms. Harper's letter aloud. The auditorium grows quiet. Jonas and Ruby hold up their signs. Every kindness counts. Other testimonials follow. A teacher who found her broken desk fixed. A parent whose son avoided dropping out thanks to Elias's quiet intervention. Mrs. Donnelly's niece describing his care for her aunt. A business owner who never forgot his sidewalk being shoveled. Clara listens, tears welling in her eyes. She sees her father in a completely new light. When Mariah finishes, an older fisherman stands. "This man helped me repair my nets when I had nothing left. You cut his job, you cut the heart of Alderbrook." Applause rises. Soft at first, then deafening. The council votes. And for the first time in years, the room erupts in hope. Elias's job is not only saved, the cuts are reversed entirely. Moments after the decision is announced, Elias tries to stand. His knees buckle. The overwhelming emotions, fear, relief, gratitude, collide at once. He collapses. Clara screams, "Dad!" People rush forward. Paramedics check him. It's exhaustion, one says. Maybe malnutrition. Stress-induced collapse. Clara's face crumples. "You've been struggling like this alone?" Elias opens his eyes weakly. "I didn't want to be a burden." Her hand clenches his. "Dad, you've carried this whole town. Let us carry you for once." Elias rests at home for several days. But for the first time, he isn't alone. Clara cooks him breakfast. Something she hasn't done since she was a teenager. Students send cards. Dozens of handmade notes arrive. "You inspired us. You're important. Thank you for caring when no one else did." The bakery sends fresh bread daily. No charge, the owner writes. For our town's quiet hero. Miss Harper visits. She brings a book of poems to lift his spirits. Mariah checks on him. She thanks him for the influence he didn't know he had. Each kindness wraps around Elias like a blanket he never knew he needed. Slowly, his strength returns. And so does Clara's, this time emotionally. She opens up about her struggles, her mistakes, her regrets. Elias listens, not with guilt or anger, but with unconditional love. Alderbrook begins to change, not because of grand gestures, but small ones inspired by Elias. The Kindness Initiative launches. Started by Ms. Harper and supported by Mariah, it encourages students to perform weekly acts of kindness, local businesses to sponsor community assistance, residents to help elderly neighbors, teachers to highlight unsung heroes every month. A giant mural is painted in the school hallway, hands passing light from one to another, symbolizing the ripple effect. Ruby helps paint it. Jonas contributes a quote. Kindness is the quiet force that holds us all together. Elias sees the mural one evening and stops in his tracks. He touches it gently. His eyes fill with tears. For the first time since losing Lillian, he feels worthy. He feels seen. He feels like he belongs. Elias and Clara sit on the steps outside the school one evening. Snow falls softly around them. Clara leans her head on his shoulder, a gesture she hasn't made in decades. Dad, I'm really proud of you. He swallows hard. And I'm proud of you, Clara. You came home. That took courage. There is silence, peaceful, healing silence. Then Clara says, I want to stay, at least for a while. Maybe start over. Elias nods, eyes glistening. I'd like that. Stories like this remind us that extraordinary kindness exists all around us. If this touched your heart, please like this video. It helps more people discover these inspiring stories. Subscribe for more tales of human kindness that will restore your faith in humanity. And most importantly, look for opportunities in your own life to be someone's unexpected blessing. What act of kindness will you perform this week? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. And remember, you have the power to change someone's entire world.